Hello everyone. I'm hoping my mic will work today. That would be really nice. Hey Cameron, that's my hubby. He's downstairs. He's such a big support of this YouTube live streaming journey. Hi Pearl, welcome. Thank you for your kind words about the oracle. Hi Katie, you do see a fox. Sarah, good morning. So glad that you're here. I'm going to let you guys all roll in a little bit while I talk about what we're going to do today and just kind of check in. Hello, Paula. Welcome. Hi, Peg. So glad to see all of you here. And yes, we're going to do a fox today, a whimsical fox. And I have just basically got some colors laid down and my blacks in, and all of this of where I'm at will be available for you as a Pastel Insider to bring you up to where I am. So if you're a Pastel Insider member, you get all the behind the scenes videos. It turns this whole thing into more of a class and not just a demo. You get the line art for this, so you can follow along at your own pace. And not only do you get the behind the scenes videos for each week, you're also going to be getting full access to my online classes. I just loaded Cosmic Creations, one of my largest classes that I've done. That is on my website now for early bird pricing. Cosmic Creations has 3 lessons and a warm-up. It's huge. It's a wonderful class. It's back home, and I'm really grateful to be able to have it on my website. And if you're interested, definitely come to my website and you'll see it right on the front page. And I'm really excited about that. So as a Pastel Insider, you get access to all of my online classes too. Hello, Ari. Janelle's here. Welcome, Janelle. Laura. I'm thinking that's Laura Senchik. You got 2 different devices, so I have to keep up with you. And let's see here. Luis is here. Debbie's here. Well, good. We're getting you all rolling in here. I really love the colors from You Can Fly with the pinks and the greens and all of that. And so I'm basically going to be using a similar color palette. I'd like to explore that more. The color palette I usually use is pretty stable. I've used that for many, many years. I'm only throwing in not really any new colors. I'm just using them a little bit differently. The red here really turns into a beautiful pink. I've thrown in this week, I've thrown in the red iron oxide. Now I'm going to be putting all of these down below in the description. I didn't know exactly what I was going to be using until today. As this is a surprise for everybody, I didn't announce exactly what I was going to do because I honestly was brainstorming and trying to figure out what got me excited. You know, it's really can be challenging sometimes when I want to be as excited as you're excited. So I'm giving myself that space, and I'm glad I did that because I really came up with something that I'm really thrilled to share with you all. Let's see here. We got Chrisella in the house, Karen, Audrey. I think Audrey's new, Audrey Kidd. I don't think you've been in chat before. Welcome. April's here. Joanne's here. Philin. Hello, and thanks for that video. I have a question about pastel pencils. Which brand should I buy to play with? Oh yeah, I definitely have that down in the description. I always suggest the Carbothello 48 pastel set. I mean, if you can order the bigger set, great, but the 48's a great starting set. That is the set I would suggest to get first. The second set I could suggest is the Pitt pencils. Love the Pitt pencils. They're a little more earthy. The Carbothello's more bright, but you'll see how I use them. The set I've really kind of leaned into that I didn't really love at first is the Caran d'Ache. Those are my most expensive ones, and they're soft, but I wouldn't necessarily start out with the Caran d'Ache pencils. They're ultra soft. They're a little finicky. They're harder to sharpen, but they're beautiful. So you'll see me use those too. But welcome. I'm thinking it's Joanne, so I'm just going to say Joanne. Hi, Paula. Thank you. I'm so glad that you like the colors. Well, I've got quite a few in here, so I'm going to get started now. I used PanPastel. It's an ultra fine pastel. That the brand is called PanPastel. It comes in families. So basically a quick overview about a family is to say if I'm going to use red. If I want to be the tint, I would just add white to it. If I want it to be the shade, I add black to it. If I want it to be the red, permanent red extra dark, then I add more black to it. So everything runs on that. So you can see how I put my darks in, and those don't, excuse me, those don't bother me because it just shifts around the families and what range that they're at. And I think the whole setup is pretty genius, but it took me quite a while to figure out how to use it. So I'm going to get warmed up a little bit. I'm just going to put these flowers in. I'm using, I also have my raw umber tint. That's my favorite tint underneath here, but I have the white when I know I want to make tints out of something. So I'm going pretty pink dominant here, and I'm just going to work on getting some flowers in here, get warmed up, let you guys roll in. I'm working on a 12 by 16. This is UArt sanded pastel paper. The paper really allows me to do what I do. The paper is probably one of the most important supplies. If you can't get UArt, I would really try to, but if you can't get UArt, the next best thing I can say is the Pastel Matte by Clairefontaine. But I really love the UArt because it allows a lot of layering. It also allows the pencils to really layer up too. I can put multiple layers on it. I can erase it. It just gives me the freedom to do so many different techniques with this medium. And so I don't think I'd be able to do everything that I do if I wasn't on this paper. So I'm just gonna get these flowers in here. I know I want them to be pink because that's the color I really want to be dominant in here. And I'm just making a tint out of the red, and so it's gonna go straight to pink. And this is a really beautiful pink. And then down at the base here, I can add in some of that red to make it even more saturation and vibrant. And I can just go back and forth because I'm always layering. Like this first layer here is I'm just getting my colors down, trying to figure out what I want to do and those types of things. So nothing's really permanent. I can change it around as we go. I can erase if I want to. So really what I want to share with you guys is that there's just so many unlimited possibilities with the medium that you don't need to be too scared to use it because you can erase and basically I could erase this whole thing and start over on the same paper. So let's see. Chrisella, my spirit guide reproduction arrived today. Love it. Got it in memory of my daughter. Chrisella, for some reason I didn't connect that was you. Oh, that's so sweet. I'm so glad that was you and it went to you. Thank you so much for supporting my art. I only do a few limited reproductions. They're all wood mounted and they're sealed with a really beautiful wax finish and gold. And they're in my Etsy store. I have a few in there, but thank you for my sweater. I got this recently. I'm really excited about it. I might have to take it off. It's getting a little warmer here, but thank you so much. Janelle has a question. You mount your paper on the mat board. What thickness? I give all the supplies. I have a video link down below in the description. I have a full video on the supplies and everything. I don't have it memorized, but it's just basically a photo mat board that I order from Blick. So I just cut it down, and then all the supplies, the adhesive, everything that I use to mount my paper is all in that video. And I think the link to that video is in the description below because I talk about it almost every episode. You're welcome. Sarah, oh my God, UArt sandpaper arrived the other day and wow, it really is like sandpaper. It is like sandpaper, but it's even better. It's got the same vibe. I'm sure a sandpaper company makes it, but they have converted it so it'll be archival and all of that jazz. And you can get it in almost any size. I buy it in rolls and in bulk. So I'm gonna go and pull out my, this is my raw umber tint, and I'm just gonna start putting a little bit of that in just to kind of get warmed up. I want my background to have this floaty vibe. kind of like the bird I did. And so I'm just going to start putting some of that in there. Well, I'm glad you got some paper. That's awesome, Sarah. Have you tried it yet? 600 and not the 800. Oh, that's a great question. The 800 grit is really fine. It doesn't take as many layers. The higher the number, the finer the grit, and so it's all about layering for me. So the like 400 grit is for stick pastels, and they're made more, you know, a lot of these papers are made for stick pastel forward. So if you are using them, you know, a stick pastel is a lot of layering and you're blending and all of that. It can really handle those rougher papers. And the paper that I'm using, I had to test out what I wanted to use that would really support my soft tools, because I want my soft tools to not wear down as quickly. So with that in mind, I found that the 600 grade allowed the layers that I liked, and it didn't fill up the tooth as quick, but it also allowed me to use the soft tools. So that's basically why. Lots of great questions today. Oh, we got quite a few of you in here. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Okay, so I'm just getting a little bit of this in here. It's really good to try to incorporate when, you know, I consider myself a rainbow artist. I love rainbows, and it's really good to, when you're doing rainbows and things like that, is to bring in some type of neutral that will balance things out. And so that's basically what we're doing here, is I'm using this raw umber tint to balance things out. It's kind of like a white, but I don't really want to use white because it doesn't give me any more room on the value scale. So if I have my value scale here and I use the white, I have no more room to add that highlight. So when I use something down below, you know, maybe it's going to be in a 2 or a 1, then it's going to give me the ability to go and put that highlight where I want it without, you know, I haven't used up that whole range. So you can see that some of the lines that I've put in are giving me ideas for the background. I can chunk it in there a little bit and see where I want it to go and just have some fun with it. I think this right here is actually the brick, so I'm just going to go, it's not the brick, but the rock. So I'm going to erase that just a little bit right there, because I wanted that rock to kind of go over on the side. So I'm going to go into the center here, and I'm going to add an abstract lighting here, because I'm thinking the sun is coming in. Now, yeah, we're going into fall here, but, you know, I don't let the holidays dictate what I'm going to create or the season. So I'm just, you know, getting some color in here, and I want this to look like, you know, this is going to be my brightest area for lighting is in here. I can mix that with my raw umber. That's going to bring up the value. And then I'm going to bring in some other colors. And it is getting warm in here. So I am going to be right back. You don't know how warm these things are going to be. Got some water. So it looks really choppy right now because I'm just really establishing where and what my colors are. And I'm going to go in here. Well, this is my whiter one. I probably wanted to keep this a little bit. If I know I'm going to add color, I like to keep one wand pretty white. And I don't really switch out a lot of wands, and I'll end up using the same wand in the end anyway. But I'm going to tap into some red. I'm going to use my white here. And I'm going to add a little bit of some pink in here for interest. And then I'm going to go and add a little bit of orange. I love orange and pink mixed. I think that's really pretty. And then I'm going to grab this white with this yellow, and this is the it's not really yellow, it's diarylide yellow. So I really love that yellow because it's a warmer yellow. And I'm just going, I put white on there and I mix directly onto the piece. And with dark paper, the thing that I'm learning, and I don't mind if it harmonizes with some other color that I have on here, that is color harmony. So you're actually creating, you know, something that's really pleasing when you're harmonizing the colors. So I'm going to be cautious here, but I'm going to go around the face and really get that lighting in here. I'm going to go on the other edge, so I'm loading the edge, a little bit of color. And with dark paper, you want to establish the whites quicker. You know, what I'm learning over all these paintings I'm creating is you want to establish that first layer of the whites if you know something's going to be white right there. So I am going to go out of my way to put those whites in and get those bright colors in there, because I don't want to have to go and layer that as much. If I want to get back down to that bottom layer, I can just do that. Hey Marty, welcome. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Good morning. The Aussies are waking up. Yeah, I saw this fox and I was like, you know, I really want to make this fox like perched on this. I used to have an owl coming in on this one, but I've done a lot of owls and I was really in the mood to do a fox. So that is where I'm at. And this is our focal point here. So I want that to I got notifications on and I didn't even think about that. Here in just a sec. Sorry guys, I gotta get rid of my notifications so it doesn't interrupt our wonderful chat. So let me see question. So we're talking about the new velvet paper, but Pastel Matte now also have Pastel Matte Grain. Has anyone tried it? Okay, so the new velvet paper, that's not available to us here yet. I'm on a waiting list for it. I think it's very much like Pastel Matte. It's just the quality control is a little bit more managed from what I've heard and what I've watched online. So I've heard good things about it. Okay, good. I think I got everything answered. Okay, so I got a little bit of light in there. I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm just trying to see here. I'm going to put a little bit of this violet in here. So if you don't know yet, but if you've taken my classes, or of course most of you know that it's a beautiful color mix. When you use turquoise and magenta, you get this beautiful violet. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in here. If it's too magenta, I just got to add the turquoise in here. Now, if you have violet, then you can just put it in there. But if you don't, this is the way to get it pretty easy. Okay. So I'm just going to bring in some of this background. Oh, I'm going to use my raw umber. So we're going to just bring in as much as we can to get that background blocked in. That's my goal. Hello, Lynn. Welcome. We got a good group here. So glad that you guys are all here. I've been so busy the last 2 weekends. I was out of town and visited my brother and his family. Nichelle and Aurora pop in here on chat, so we went and saw them. They live about 4 hours away. So I traveled this past weekend, and then I traveled the weekend before, so it's been pretty busy. Thank you, Michelle. I always appreciate you cheering everyone on. And for those of you who watch and have time, I would love for you to leave a comment on the videos after the live if you come back and watch them again or anything like that. The people watching the replays, I always love to hear from you. I love getting comments on the videos. It really helps my channel, and it's totally free. Would love to hear from you guys. It's always wonderful because I can't be on, you know, this live time is a little bit, doesn't work for everybody. So I really love connecting with you when you guys reach out. I've gotten some wonderful emails, but you know, just a comment's great. So we're just getting it kind of roughly in here. And I'm kind of getting all of that white figured out. I think I might leave that right there. And now I'm going to put in some of the tree colors. I have a few greens here. They're all warm. This is the bright yellow green shade, the bright yellow green extra dark, and then my diaryllides. And this is all a really warm combination. And that's what I'm going for here. So I'm going to put this bright yellow green in there for the trees. I'll probably be mixing some other colors in there, but I'm just going to get it started. I'll probably go with some diarylide on the edges to get that lighting. I have some scratches from the pencils, but that's okay if I want to cover it up. That's just, a lot of that's for warm up. If you go over the pencils, they will knock back down, but sometimes I just do pencils in the early stages to break things up. So I'm just getting these 3 areas pretty, and I can make some shapes in this bigger one. Always thinking about how to creatively break things up. That's my intention when I'm going into the piece. I can incorporate maybe some orange shade in here. Some diarylide. I think I'm going to put some diarylide right there. All right, so I feel like I've gotten pretty warmed up. I've got a little bit more trees to get in here. I might bring in a little bit of the magenta extra dark in the shadow area. Maybe up here. And I can bring pencils over this and create texture. You're building up that layer so you can have some fun with the pencils. And that's why we, you know, joke about having, you know, Thursday pencil throwdown, is because I've built up enough layers to really get to the pencils. And that is always an exciting moment. So it looks like I'm going to end up going pretty, a little bit heavier on the greens, but I don't mind that. So I'm going to bring in some of the tree trunk here. I want it to look like there's moss on the tree, so I'm just going to chunk it up with some greens here, and I'm also going to bring in a little bit of this burnt sienna down here in the base where it's darker. doesn't, I want to mix in some other colors with that. It doesn't have to be just that color. Put a little bit of magenta extra dark in there. Now we can get that some of that burnt sienna in there. I'm going to go a little bit brighter as I go up the tree. This tool is really versatile. I committed to a tool. I used to have all the different tools out, and I would try to like use a tool for dark and use a tool for light, and I have tons of tools. I have the triangles, I have every shape of the tool you could think of. But I read something, well, it started with the Wacom pad, but once you kind of commit to a tool, I wanted a tool to be a little bit more diverse. And I didn't want to have to switch the tools all the time. And the oval is my favorite. I finally just committed to it, and I can do almost anything I want that I need with the oval. I feel like we're starting to get the tree trunk in here. I'm going to bring a little bit of this red iron oxide into the tree, because that's going to be in the fox. Love red iron oxide. I think that's going to be probably the dominant color here once I'm done. But you can see how I broke it up a bit, and I don't want it to just be a whole tree trunk of red iron oxide. I want it to be broken up, because that's how you get things to be abstract, is you gotta break them up along the way. I think I'm gonna leave that for maybe a pink. I was just seeing if yeah, I've only heard about the velvet. Prairie Girl, welcome. It's so nice that you made it here today. Thanks for coming. So I have the tree trunk going. I think I'm going to leave these more as rocks down here so that they're more defined. So I'm going to get the tree in here. And I'm okay with my colors mixing in with those blacks I put in there, because like I said, it's going to take that and it's going to make it more of a shade or an extra dark. I can always tone this red down, this red iron oxide. I'm just kind of getting it in there to see how I like it. I'm going to stand back here for a minute and check it out. Everything looks pretty chopped up, but if you followed my work long enough, my work always has a stained glass look to it initially. And I've noticed that over all this time. It's something that you start seeing repetition in your work and that's how you realize you got a creative process, is you're like, oh, I'm seeing that over and over in my work. I think I got that process down and that process is working for me. And so the structure helps give me the confidence to move forward and take chances. And then I spend most of my time breaking the structure down. So I'm just tapping into that burnt sienna and the extra dark and the core color. I think I might make this just be part of the tree trunk here. So you can see how I'm just breaking it up, having some fun. The pencils are in there. They're part of it all. And Hi Pam, welcome to the group today. I'm just in from what I think to be my final swim in Grand Traverse Bay here in Michigan. Well, I'm glad that someone's swimming here because I sure ain't. Yeah, it's too cold for that for me. That's awesome though that you're able to go swimming. I'm going to mix in a little bit of the burnt sienna with the red iron oxide. And that's just harmonizing the colors, just mixing them in. And now this is part of the rock, so I want to keep part of that rock. I think I'm going to go and do pink for those scallops right there. So I'm going to go red with the raw umber tint. It'll work just as good. And I'm going to put those scallops in. Oh shoot, I went in the magenta. I kept saying don't tap into the magenta. And you know, those might be strong like down the way, and I can mix them in with pencils and blend it in and all of that. A lot of this I don't know how it's going to look until we're done today, and then I can evaluate and check it out and see what I'm liking and what I'm not liking. So all of this is, you know, I'm relaxed about it because I know I have that time for the piece. So for these rocks here, I think I might go, you know, they could be red rocks. I mean, they don't have to be so literal. I can have them be more moss and more green. So I might bring in a little bit of this red iron oxide down below to move that through. And then I can put some magenta extra dark in here too, because those always look really pretty together. And this is more of a shadow area down here, you know, right where those rocks hit. I'll put that magenta extra dark in there. I got all of these shadows down here. I can make patterns in there. I think around this fox's tail and everything, I'm going to try to keep it as green as I can for that contrast. So I'm going to mix some different greens, some diaryllides, and I love mixing a variety of greens in there. Because I definitely want it to look like moss, and I'll have time to take my pastel pencils and scribble over it and even make that effect look more prevalent. I know for sure that the velvet is going to be a lot like pastel matte. I've watched a few reviews already. It's going to be pretty close to that, I have a feeling. The things that I've heard that people weren't liking about pastel matte were the quality issues. I guess there was some quality issues with the paper. So now I feel pretty, I'm going to get more of these greens. I might put a few brighter greens in here just to break it up a bit. This is the bright yellow green. But you can see how I've broken it up, and all these little spots are kind of lending me to go, oh, put some color there, put some over here. I love diarylide. It's probably my favorite color. I think I want to make this a circle there. So I'm going to leave that blank because I'm liking that. So you can kind of see how it's starting to come together. It might be chopped up, but there's a lot of, there'll be some continuity in here with the greens. want this to be kind of like a moss-filled forest. These are the tops of the rocks. I'm gonna probably put some grass and stuff right here. I'm just kind of envisioning how I want it to go. I want this to be a little darker right here. I'm gonna put some black in so it'll knock that to an extra dark right there. So the magenta, I mean the bright yellow green for this is the extra dark. That's as dark as it gets. If you want to make it extra, extra dark, you just got to add some black in there. I haven't heard of the pastel green. Well, that'll be interesting to try out. Okay, so I'm almost to the home stretch of getting all the greens in there on the rocks. I'm thinking I might want to put this scallop down here as a green. I'm just going to go for it. I have a lot of the pink up there, but I got a lot of pink in the flowers. So I'm going to put this as green. This is there's chaos here, but it's structured chaos. Chaos that I've decided to make, but I know it's going to be. So I have this little scallop. I'm going to put this one in. I can see I didn't put the black in right there. So I'm going to put that in. So you can look as a whole. It's going to start looking more, you know, you got to think what your intention is when it helps with colors, but to also mix in some other colors to break it up. But all the greens and kind of having the magentas in the ground cover, I think it's going to be really helpful. So I've got one more to put in here. And then I'm going to put this green too. I think I'm going to do a stripe here. I'm going to make a pattern. Always trying to break it up, give it some interest. Put a little bit more green right here. Oh, a lion sounds beautiful. I'm excited for you, Michelle. I bet you that's going to look amazing. I can't wait to see it. Okay, so I have my one little spot of green in the fox here. I'm thinking about putting, you know, maybe just one more in there. Just to put a little pattern in there. And then now I'm going to start filling in the fox a little bit. Now, I will say I really, really loved this pencil. It's the 66. I have two of them. There's one's a little bit darker than the other, and this one's a raw russet. I'm really loving the colors in the raw russet. It's really beautiful. Now this is a Caran d'Ache, and it's super soft. These pencils, I will say, have a lot of they're really rich and they're buttery. They're just really soft. So it's just getting used to that. I think for this little flower down here, I'm gonna go pretty bright and not just do the portrait pink. I'm gonna go in with the carmine. This is an 80. You can also use this pencil, which is a 311, and this is the carmine red middle. Either one will work fine. I'm gonna get these, well, I think I need to put some contrast in there because I got carmine around that. So I am gonna use the Portrait Pink. So this is the 582, it's Portrait Pink, it's a Caran d'Ache. It's not as easy to get pinks. The Pitt pencils have quite a few of them. So I've got that surrounding. I need to have some division here. And then I'm gonna put, this is the carmine, which is the 80. It'll probably get more pink on it down the way. Might just put some of that in here. It's all about layering. I put quite a few layers on my piece, as you can see, especially if you're getting the behind the scene videos, you really get to get the full impact, especially at the end, of how much layers I'm putting on. I think the layers really are what make the pieces shine and give the depth of the work. Many new people they stop too soon. I had a I don't know if you're here today. Her name is Paula too. It's not Paula Lewis, but she just did a take flight, and it was the first one of the students I've had that she's like, it took me a full 8 hours. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. You know, I don't do all these paintings in one sitting. And I think it's really unrealistic to expect to do it in one sitting. So this piece has so much like scribbles and freedom. I'm doing it a little sooner than I would normally do it, but I'm okay with that. Oh, so this is an example of the Caran d'Ache. So the Caran d'Ache is just super soft, guys. So they're expensive, and then the tips will break off a lot of times. So I'll try to salvage the tip by, you know, still using it a little bit. I sometimes have to hand sharpen these with an X-Acto knife. And I can save this and scribble it around maybe a little bit later somewhere. Like I can go, okay, scribble it around right there. So, but I'll save the little tips sometimes to use, but they're a little, you know, obnoxious. Hello, Dawn and everyone. Have you done all of that in the last 40 minutes? Hi, Cassie. Welcome to the group. No, I have some of this. I probably have an hour in before I started the live, and that is if you're interested in diving deeper and you want to get the full lesson, that's for the Pastel Insider membership. You can get the full thing. So I started at a certain point, and now I'm just expanding off of that. So the Pastel Insiders get the beginning video, they get some in the middle, and they also get some finishing. That's exclusive to being a Pastel Insider member. But you also do get the full 4 hours of demo on YouTube, so that's awfully fun too. So I'm trying to think of what I want for the center of my flowers here. I'm hem-hawing about going pretty dark, like doing a black, but I can always put colors over it. The only thing is I think if I do black right here, I think that's a little too much for this guy, so I'm gonna think of a lighter color. Oh, good, you're in my membership. Well, that's awesome. So you get to see the beginning. Oh, 12 hours. Yep, that's about right, because that was 4 full lives. And so that's, you know, 8 hours just there, and that didn't include my drawing and transferring, coming up with a concept. That took 2 days. And yeah, that one was a big one. Okay, so I have a few of the rocks down here. I'm going to maybe put a few scribbles in here and get those in here. I really think working with the pencils with the PanPastel is pretty liberating. If you like this messy but controlled look, the pastel pencils really lean into that, just allow you to have that full freedom. I love it. I absolutely love working with the pastel pencils. Definitely couldn't do what I'm doing without them, but you can see how I can break things up and just have some scribble fun. I could do the whole piece in pastel pencils if I wanted to, but I really love how pastel looks too, the PanPastel. So I'm going to go in with some of the bright yellow green, and then I'm going to add a little black to it to make it extra dark, because that's already extra dark, bright yellow green extra dark. And just get a few of these filled in. I might just add a little bit of the green here too, because those look like two little lumps on the log, so I want it to blend in a little bit. I don't need it to be so defined. I think my dog's snoring. I'm like, what is that noise? And I'm like, I think it's my dog. I've never heard him snore like that. That's so funny. So underneath here, I am going to use some of this magenta extra dark, and I'm going to treat this like it's a shadow area. I love to put purples in here, and when it's a shadow type vibe. Man, he's really out. He is snoring. Huh. Okay. Oh. Yeah, it all takes time. I mean, that's why you got to fall in love with your process, because you don't want to always be trying to rush through to the next thing all the time. I went through that stage, and now I'm just happy to hang out in a piece. I actually wish I could hang out sometimes a little bit longer, because I just love the certain stages that I'm creating. So I'm going to go and bring in some of these russets, this red iron oxide in a few spots, and it just has a different texture to it. I'm almost thinking, now that I've put down my first color, is I'm going to make the center of the flower the red iron oxide. I think that's absolutely perfect. I have that little magenta circle around it. I think you can see that. I think that's like, oh, I'm so excited. So when I have those moments, I really feel like that's an intuitive, like when you're painting free like this, I don't have it all mapped out. It's not all figured out. There's a lot of mystery in it, and that keeps me excited to paint. So if I had it all, I've tried the whole thing where I've planned it all out, and that's just not my jam. Some people love to have that predictability and love doing, you know, realism. To that extent. And for me, I have more fun breaking the rules, like breaking things up, making them different and things like that. Oh, come on. CPUP machine? I've never heard of that. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. Yeah, I try to be a rebel, Laura. I gotta rebel wherever I can. It's not a big rebel, but you know, it's something, right? Well, you gotta find your joy in what you're doing. And I think if you're frustrated a lot, or you know, things like that, then it's good to reflect and kind of make an adjustment, you know? Like, I really believe we gotta find our joy in what we're creating. So I could have easily just taken up this whole fox with this beautiful red iron oxide, and that would have been easy to do. And so you can see I've waited to the end to really put it in, because it would have been really easy just to put the whole thing like that. But I wanted an abstract look. So I'm taking the time to fill in these little blocks that I've made, the little shapes, and see how that, you know, feels. And I can bring some extra shapes in there. Okay, once I get to a certain spot here, I'm going to start adding pink in. Okay, I'm going to stand back and kind of evaluate that, take a little bit of a sip. I'm really excited about this one, folks. You guys are funny. Okay, so now I want to tie in a little bit more of the pink. I'd like it to be, you know, a little bit more pink forward on the whole thing. I need to plug in my, I don't really have that here. I must have moved my chargers around. So I'm going to go in with my red, permanent red core, and I'm going to go white because I want a really fresh pink. So I'm mixing directly on my wand onto the paper. I'm going to take this pencil I have. I think either pencils would work great. Like if you don't have the Caran d'Ache pencil, the 66, the raw russet, this one is a 670 and it is burnt sienna. So it's exactly in the kind of the burnt sienna family. And you could use that in here. I'll show you it's very much the same like the raw russet. So there's a few spots I want to break that up a bit so I'm not filling it all the way in. That's a little light, but I'm okay with that because I'm going to build it up. I'm just trying to keep the shapes that I think are most important. And that's the structure that I put in. So I'm working around it, but I'm still breaking it up. Putting a little bit of red as the dominant. I really like that circle, so I'm going to go in that with probably pencils in those parts. And then I can put red, the full powered red in some of these spots too. I might put, no, I don't think I'm going to put green there. I think I'm going to put a little bit of orange in to some of these spots. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Geisha vibes. Ooh, I like that, like cherry blossoms type of thing. So I'm gonna play with some of the orange. I gotta flip my wand here. I might have to do it mostly with pencils. I'll try some of this orange shade, and I have to get, that is going to be the red iron oxide. Now it's interesting when you put orange in here, how it almost looks yellow, this orange shade. I think I'm going to go with a pencil on that one. I have this really, it's a 215. It's a Indian yellow, and then I have my regular orange, and I think I'm going to hit my regular orange instead of the Indian yellow. So I just need to get my dowel here. So all those little spots that I've left are going to allow me to fill that in. Oh, Kez is here. Welcome, Kez. I know you're moving. I hope you're doing good. So what I love about the pencils too is you could really practice on doing a heavy line versus a light line, and all of those really can make a difference in the different looks you can get. Yeah, I definitely like the pencil more than the PanPastel when it comes to this. So you can see how fun this gets, where you're breaking things up and creating interest and texture and line, and now I can take this orange and really go down and fill a lot of these in, because I don't have it much in the piece. But the structure is what's helping me. The structure is helping me make these decisions with confidence. So, you know, some of you might be going, well, I don't want to use the line art, you know, but the line art is basically training you. Think of it like this. The line art is training you to eventually someday you're going to have your own drawing that you're going to make up. And it's just basically, I've got the drawing and we're transferring it and we're working around this line art and giving yourself the permission to play with that and be in that moment, I think is really powerful, because then we're comparing apples to apples when we're going through the process here. And then also down the road, you're going to be like, oh, I'll be able to create my own drawing and transfer it too. So it's just got you thinking of all the different ways that you're going to be able to create here. So I'm going to take the I couldn't find this pencil before the live, but I found it. It's my 700. It's in the raw umber family. I'm going to bring the hair down the neck a little bit. And then for the nose, I want to mix in a little bit of the plum. And that is a Caran d'Ache. Now purples are probably the more challenged. You know, these magentas are a little bit more challenging to get in the different lines. So I will grab any purple I can. I'm just going to tap that in lightly to the nose, and I'll put some black over it too. And then I have this little stripe over here. I'm trying to think of maybe what I want to go in there. And I think I'm going to put the russet color in there. Let's see, is it in my hand? Yep, it's in my hand. So that is the 66. You can use the burnt sienna, which is the 670. Now I'm just always trying to come up with patterns and fun mark making ideas when I'm going along here. Oh, I'm excited, folks. This is a lot of fun. Okay, we have almost all of it pretty blocked in. I'm going to put a little bit of maybe the violet in that corner. Well, I have his leg in this corner. Maybe I'll just go with my white and not try to make it difficult. So this is my raw umber, trying to get a lighter wand here. And I have this spot right here. And just even the different subtle value changes in the background are pretty amazing. I'm going to push that in a little bit. I have my little darks that I like, and then I push those in and pull. Wipe it off when I don't want there to be like that excess pastel. Let me see here. I agree, Luis. I'm so glad that I can do that for you guys. The line art is supposed to allow you to just really feel like you can ease into learning how to take all the information in from the learning how to paint with PanPastel. All right, Michelle, get a fresh cup. I love the fox, but the trunk of that tree is fascinating me. I am also pretty excited about the whole thing down here. I think it's really going to play off of each other. Talking earlier about how long things take. Whenever I try to draw, the first I've had enough and struggle to finish as it takes so long to do the drawing. Well, I think sometimes, you know, what I found was that okay, let me start from fresh here. The drawing thing is all what we think drawing should be or not be. And we've been conditioned to kind of, you know, what we've been exposed to. And for me, I don't always finish a drawing, like flesh it all out, do all the gradients, do all of that. I'm more looking into the line and the shape and the whimsy of it all. So, you know, I even have some drawings here, like, let me show you this. So I got my journal here, and this piece was inspired from that, of a drawing I did. And this isn't a fully fleshed out drawing. A lot of these drawings are really not developed. So let me see here. So I had this guy, and then I'll show you these two that this was inspired from. And what I did was, a while back, about a few years ago, I took on a challenge, and the challenge was just to show up and draw a circle. And all I did was say, okay, every day I'm going to draw a circle. Now, if I draw more than a circle, great. But if I don't draw more than a circle, it's just teaching me the habit of showing up. And I did all kinds of, you know, funky drawings. These drawings aren't fleshed out. This is kind of the whimsy that I play into. I have like this one, all about trusting myself. And, you know, they're funky, whimsy drawings that I could play off of and maybe flesh out into a more thought out drawing where I use a reference image to get my idea fleshed out. You can transfer a reference image and then whimsy it out. I do that all the time, and then I expand on that. But a drawing is just to kind of get your ideas, you know, going. And I really think that, you know, once I started showing up and drawing every day for just a circle, I mean, I probably made, you know, a handful of days that were just circles. But when I started doing it, it changed my life. It was the first thing I ever committed to that was consistent. I did it for a year and a half, and I drew every day. And these aren't big drawings. They're just like what I showed you. And sometimes I fleshed them out and I had fun, and then I was doing that for a while. And sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I would just move on to something new, and then I didn't like that idea, and I would just move on to something else. It's all about just scribbling, playing. And then if you want to focus on something, like I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to learn how to draw noses today. And I would play with noses, you know, those types of things. I hope that inspires you. The drawing the circle thing was literally, if you can do that and just show up, and I usually did it in the evening, and I'm not kidding, it literally changed my art. It took my art and put me on a fast course track, and I wasn't even drawing anything specific. I didn't do just, you know, faces or whatever. I didn't put limitations on myself. I would do all kinds of weird stuff. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, going into way too much detail, you don't need, and you know, the other thing is most of the drawings I never shared on social media. It was my time to just explore and figure things out. You know, they weren't to show to anybody. Like me showing those here, you know, that's a big deal. I don't usually show, that's all my time. You know, that's my stuff. I did go through a thing where I ended up doing a lot of drawing, and then that's how kind of the black PanPastel was born. And then I started doing that a lot. Okay, so I'm just trying to get this background fleshed out a little bit more, bringing it up a little bit. I got some questions here. Dawn, did you make a list of your favorite pastel pencils, and if so, where is it posted? I have a reel that shows the Caran d'Ache ones. I don't have a list of all my favorites. I use so many, you guys, like I seriously don't have one. I'm thinking about doing a whole thing about what I love in my list, and maybe I'll put that, you know, I'll do a YouTube video or something. I don't know, but it's really hard to nail that down. I mean, like I have some basics. I mean, like you guys know that my shadow pencil, it's a go-to, my 175 by Pitt Pencil. But yeah, it's a little hard to kind of nail down all my favorites. I will work on that. So I want this to be darker in here. So a lot of times when you see me go out of screen, I'm wiping off onto my microfiber because I got black on there. So I want to take some of that off, and that's how I'm blending and things like that. Go in here with my black pencil, and I like to push that a little bit more extreme. Got lots of layering for this piece. Got this one over here. Wiping it off. And then I can take lines and, you know, remove them. I can accent them. It all kind of starts coming together. Oh, thank you, Pam. That is that. Okay, I actually made this book. I used to make journals. I used to paint them. This is Luna. It's a leather journal, and all of the paper that's inside it is Arches hot press watercolor paper that I used to buy in sheets. And I was really heavily into journal making for quite a while. I have quite a few of these. I've never filled them all up. I've decided, even the paper, it's so, the paper is so old in it, it's sized, they call it sizing, where the watercolor doesn't take watercolor as well, and it's very expensive paper, but a lot of it doesn't work as well with watercolor, so I use gouache, and, but yeah, I was really into making journals for quite a while, and it was pretty tedious because I actually wood burned into them. And then you have to be careful because if you're burning into treated leather, and yeah, it became a whole thing. But it was a lot of fun. Oh, thank you. I've told you, I've dabbled in so many mediums, you guys. Like when I came across the PanPastel, it was like, oh my gosh, this is actually holding my interest. I definitely had jumped all around. I actually did I'll show you these. Look, I'm pretty proud of these guys. I used to do wool felting. I have tons of wool, you guys. I used to do upcycling and all of that. And I used to make these little crystal gems. And they're crystal clusters that I covered with wool, and then embellish them with needle embroidery. So yeah, I did. I was in it all. And then what happened was I realized I wasn't focused on anything, and I just felt really dispersed. So I finally just made a commitment and just said, you know what, I can't do the textile stuff too. It's just too hard. I would need like a warehouse to work in if I did all of my interests. I had encaustics. Yeah, I've been creating for over 20 something years, 25. And it all started out with rubber stamping and miniature teddy bear making. It was kind of crazy. I was heavy into rubber stamping. I did sample work for companies. I went to conventions. Yeah, that was a thing. I could never imagine that I wouldn't be doing rubber stamping. That's how into it I was. And I don't know, we evolve. We definitely evolve. I'm trying to debate if I want to leave that to be a really strong circle like that. So I think I'm going to fade it out a bit. Just kind of break it up. I'm just kind of getting this background established here. I just watched your new Black Pan Pastel lesson in the Lifebook series. That is where I found you. I'm looking forward to giving it a go. It's beautiful. Oh, that's awesome, Kez. I'll answer your question too, Laura. I just saw that you had a question. That is awesome. You know, I know quite a few have found me through Lifebook. This was my first year in Lifebook, and they're actually not going to be doing it anymore. They have a new series, and I'm not going to be doing collaborations for a while because I need to take a break. But my lesson just launched today with Lifebook. So yeah, the Black Pan Pastel is a great entryway into this medium. Okay, Laura, that sketchbook with the Black Pan Pastel, did you draw the faces first or did you go in straight with Pan Pastel? Oh, you're talking about this. Let me show you it so other people know what I'm talking about. So when I did the Black Pan Pastel last week, I was sharing this. This was the one lesson I did for Lifebook. I did that. With these, I went in, these were 15-minute faces, you guys. I did this for 30 days. I went straight in with the Pan Pastel. So it just evolved, and I only allowed myself 15 minutes. There's some wacky ones in here. I got some dark ones, but yeah, those were all just going straight in with the Pan Pastel with the black. Okay, so I'm just trying to get this up to a spot where I'm happy with it. And I'm doing quite a bit of layering with this because it's going to be that cloudy vibe. And then I'm going to start pushing this out. Oh, really, Jennifer? Needle felting is like, I have a very soft spot for needle felting. I did a lot of it. I did wet felting. Oh my gosh, love needle felting. If I could do more stuff, I wish I had more time, but yeah. Okay, I like this. I'm gonna leave that. I'm not sure about this. I think I'm gonna tone this down. It really draws your eye down there, and I think I'd rather have the tree keep your eye in because the composition is going this way. So that's my goal for it. Oh, I love beading too, Pam. Did lots of beading. Oh my gosh, yeah, I probably, yeah, my husband has been so sweet about my journeys with all my creativity. I tell you, I have tons of beads still. Loved beading. I did that kind of freeform beading. Love that. Okay, so I feel like I've got quite a bit of this in here where I'm feeling pretty good about it. And I'm really looking for kind of a freeform vibe back here. I mean, I guess right here I would like to shade this down a little bit so I can put my scribbles coming out. Gonna wipe off my wand, and that's how I blend in these spots. And then I can take my black, which now I'm gonna probably ruin this light wand, but that's just how I roll. So I'm just going back and forth here, kind of creating some darkness that would go behind the tree. I could use an edge here and create this a little bit darker down here. I'll see if I like that. I kind of might like the darkness in this area. This red, I mean the raw umber tint is just a beautiful color. I've used it in so much of my work. I just love it. So I like that kind of calm down a little bit right there. We got some lines around. We'll see how long they last. Loving the fox. I'm just kind of evaluating through the camera. I think that's a great thing to do, is to really look through the camera and see what's working and what's not working. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, right, Katie. I know that I have so many art supply. Yeah, I'm starting. I've been doing this straight for main focus. I've gotten off track a couple of times with gouache that I've just done on my own and everything. But in the beginning, I was a little sporadic around. But for 7 years, I've done pan pastel, and I honestly don't feel like sometimes I'll go, oh, I feel like I'm missing out on something, like with the acrylic. And then I go play with it for a little while, and I'm like, no, 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 no. This is what I love. You sometimes have to be reminded. Okay, Pearl, you said it looks like the polar bear has snuggled in behind the fox with his head hanging down between the fox and the tree. Oh, well, I don't see that yet. Oh, well, I love that about abstract work. I'll probably ruin them. I'm sorry ahead of time. Oh, Laura, you stabbed yourself way too up. I used to make jewelry. I gave all the supplies to my granddaughter. Yeah, you know, that's really good you're able to do that. Yes, Kez, and the other paws around the tree. Wow, I don't see the polar bear, guys. That's okay. Oh, like this is the nose, and that's the eye, and then that's the paw coming around. I think I see it now. Okay, I might play with the light a little bit. Let's see here. I gotta get a lighter wand. I love that you guys are seeing things in the art. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with some white. I gotta clean my white off. It's got quite a bit of red on it. I just white mine. These go so far. I don't really worry about wasting that much. So I've got quite a bit of my first layers down, and now I'm gonna focus on the light. And I'm gonna get it pretty bright around the face. That was supposed to have a little bump there for the eye, but I don't think it looks that off, so I'm just going to leave it. So mixing this in with diarylide really brings up the yellow. I feel like I kind of want this to be a larger spot here. And I'm trying to think, there's usually a spot where I will bring the animal into the background. And I think I'm going to do it right here. So I'm going to pull this up with some red and some pink. Could do it right here, but I think I'm going to like it right here. I like to make the animal part of the piece. Like, Like we're all connected, the animal's connected. I'm going to use some of the white with the orange, and that's going to make an orange tint. I'm going to go over that orange right there to bring up the value. I'm going to do the same thing to this orange right here and bring up the value. I'm going to put some red in here. Try the red iron oxide. I might bring that up and see what that looks like. Okay, take a little drink of water here and look at that. I'm really excited about the fox, guys. And I really love the light. Might expand on the light a little bit, but let me check up on chat here. Oh, you guys are all just seeing the polar bear. Oh, thank you, Kim. I really appreciate it. A great group in here today. Jennifer says, I pricked my finger so many times while needle felting tonight. Oh, what kind of things do you needle felt, Jennifer? Okay, I think I'm caught up on everybody. Okay, so I'm going to still play with the light here a little bit. Set down, here's my wand. I'm going to bring it up here. And I'm going to bring it into the trees. So we'll work on this section here. And I'm being a little cautious because there's these really beautiful moments right here. And sometimes when you push a little too far too fast, it's good to just leave some of this density in here and not try to smooth it all out. Every painting I get a little bit better at doing that. Still, it's not something that's easy. So I have to slow down a little bit. So I'm going to go in with some of this diarylide. I'm going to bring it in with the diarylide core. And I'm going to work on the edges of the trees here. And I'm going to bring them up. And I'm going to try to take the black line down a bit because the light is hitting it there, so that line shouldn't be as prevalent. And then let's see, I'm going to bring some of this bright green in here. Yeah, that's going to balance that out. And you can be a little bit more delicate and get some really fun shapes in here. If you slow down, you can get some of that in there, and then it just kind of accents that whole tree vibe. My needle felting is actually for a college course where they have told us to make a costume that has felted items as the star. I'm doing an autumn forest hag covered in leaves and butterflies. Oh my gosh, Jennifer, are you like in, I think you're in my Facebook group. I'm sorry if I can't remember everything when I'm in a live. I have to sometimes take notes, but I hope you're in my Facebook. I would love for you to share that. That just sounds so cool. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, that sounds really cool. So you can see I can take some of my time. I could do this with pencils if I wanted to, but I'm going to use the values and bring up some of the values on the edges of the tree so they look like that they have, you know, that lighting hitting them. But I find I have to go a little slower on this because it can go too fast and then it looks where I'm repairing things a lot. So I'm just standing back, I'm looking at that. Oh my gosh, I think this is going to be my favorite one yet. Oh, this makes me happy. Makes me happy. Yes, I would love that. Alora, welcome. Oh, thank you. That's so kind. I'm really excited about this piece, Alora. I've been wanting to do this whimsical fox. I showed you guys a little while before of the drawings I've done in my journal that inspired this. And I just am excited that I was able to kind of bring it to life here and have my vision kind of come alive. And that's really exciting. I think that's what gets really exciting when you put your time in and you practice. When you can take an idea that you have and then have it translate and bring it to life, I think is the most fulfilling thing I could ever want to do. And I think that's what brings me back to the PanPastel is I've taken time to be good at it. And I probably have about over 7,000 hours into PanPastel, if that can make things a little bit more relative for you guys. You know, they say it takes 10,000 hours to become master at something. I am going to put those 10,000 hours in, guys. I got a couple more years, but it also puts things in perspective for you guys. Like when you're taking a lesson here and maybe it's a little bit challenging, you know, remember, you know, ask yourself, how many hours do you think you have into it? And really be gentle with yourself. And be proud of yourself that you're showing up. Because like I said in my newsletter, 90% of it is about showing up. If it's either watching a live or, you know, showing up to play or doing a lesson or watching a lesson, anything. Oh, we got someone else in here too. JC's here. Welcome, JC Creates. Hi. I'm glad that you made it. Oh, thank you. That's really kind of you to say, Laura. I'm glad you made it back. Both of you, JC Creates and Laura, I'm glad you guys are back here. So you can see how I'm just slowly building up the trees, and I'm really enjoying, you know, just taking that time to do so. I'm probably not going to put as much detail back here, but I could use, you know, black, and I'm thinking I might want to go over this branch. Like some of it's just a little too perfect right there, so I'm just going to use my little eraser. I'm going to erase out this branch up here, and I'm going to erase out this branch down here. And what I'm doing is I'm taking the structure lines that I put in with my carbon pencil in the initial drawing, and I'm taking that off so it won't show through. And now I can bring these branches over the top a little bit, and it breaks that up a bit. I feel like the tree's starting to really come alive. It's alive. It's alive. I'm loving the tree. See, I'm in love with the process. Like, when you fall in love with your process, you want to spend time in it. You know, I'm not that excited to be all finished. I'm loving, you know, taking this time. I'm inspired to use my wand and maybe not pencils up here. I'm just having a good time with this, and so I'm leaning into that. I'm not trying to be rigid and saying this is how I have to do it. That is another thing I've learned is, you know, whatever this painting is speaking to me that it wants, to lean into it. You know, if I have to use a bird to reference to get my idea through that one, maybe I want to just draw birds from freehand, but this is a special bird, it's flying, and that would be really hard. Then I'm going to get a reference and I'm going to use that bird to get my idea across. I'm not always going to push myself down and limit myself if there's something I want to do. And each painting has its own voice. And I definitely think listening to it and kind of leaning into that can be really powerful. I'm so happy that you're here too, JC. Well, this piece did it for me and has convinced me to sign up for the Pastel Insider. I was on the fence, but you pushed me into that last step. I love this. That's really sweet, Alora. I'm going to be, you know, there's going to be a lot of content in the Pastel Insider. I just released a full class to Cosmic Creations, and each week this is developing into more and more, and it's pretty amazing. Like, I think this will be my 6th Pastel Insider content, so that's a lot, and you get all the line art with it and everything. So I'm really excited to be building up this community with you guys, and it ties into YouTube so well, so it's a win-win. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about the branches and, you know, the trees up here. I feel like I want to take this light down a little bit. I'm going to really focus on that. I might even just bring in my pencils, but I think I'm going to go up here. I'm debating about bringing the yellow up just behind the ear. I think sometimes when you bring something through, it can be pretty powerful. Let's see what that feels like. Oh, I was thinking you guys were talking about like doing merch with shirts. I think in my newsletter, I'm going to do this, like, get this shirt template or whatever and put my little sayings on there. I think that would be a lot of fun to do. But one of them that you guys brought up was, I'm going to see how that feels. Follow your joy. Things like that. I think that would be fun. Maybe I'll go through, what's it called? Print tea or whatever. I can, that would be kind of fun. Okay, so I'm going to bring that up behind the ear. I think I'm liking that just a little bit, like it's, and then get some of this white in here. It's going to tone down and not be too white, so I'm going to go with the white. Now what I'm doing here is I'm actually using the tip of the tool to take some of those black lines down, because when you're dealing with light, I don't want there to be the black line contrast as much. That is something that I spend most of the time doing. Like, if you look down here, you can see how strong those separations are. And you might go, when we're done today, you might go, oh, it looks like it's finished. But I spend a lot of time taking these black lines and merging them together into this unity. And right here, I'm giving you an example of that. Because when the light's shining through, it blurs out a lot of this stuff. So I could even use my, this is a great example. I don't use this color very much, but this is what the actual bright yellow-green core looks like. It's very neon. Even if I put white into this bright, here's a great tip for you guys. So you can get by just having bright yellow green. And if I was going to use this a lot, then I would definitely buy it. But if I know I'm not going to use it a lot and I can't afford the whole set, and then I probably wouldn't buy it. And I would just stick with the bright yellow green. Now, because I bought the whole set and I have it, the difference is if I add white to this bright yellow green and bring it up as a tint, it doesn't have the same saturation. Let me show you that really quick. I know I got a little scrap here that I can make. I think it's a great visual to see. I just need to erase a section off on this paper that I have and show you, because I always like to give a really good tip about learning about the pan pastel and how it's structured. So I have my little piece of UArt here. I'm going to put my bright yellow green. This is the core. Now, I rarely use it. So if I was going to, though, mix my bright yellow green to make that with my white, I mean, it can totally prove me wrong. I don't know. But I'm thinking the purity of it. So that's bringing it up to so-called the core. It's really hard to bring a color from a shade up to the core because the core is the pure form of the family. So when I go in and load my wand with this, you're going to have more saturation because this is the core. So it's really hard to make that. I think you can see the difference. It might be like, you're like, oh, no big deal. But when you start using it a lot, saturation is a bigger deal. And this has the pure saturation of the bright yellow green family. So to bring it up from the shade, because it has black in it, even the extra dark is going to be the same way. If I go bring the extra dark and add some white here, you're going to get more of like a secondary color, like a muted color of it. And that's just because of like what I said, because there's black mixed into that. So I think that's a good visual for you guys. Okay, let's see. Thank you, JC. Karen says her fur babies are telling you it's past time for dinner, so you must call it a day here. Thank you, Karen. Well, have a great evening, and we'll see you on Thursday. Pearl says the fox has a sassy face. That's cute. I love it too when a process works. So cool to see you get excited. Oh, thank you, Paula. Lynn Ellis. Yes, t-shirts. Scritchy Scratchy, please. I know the spelling is wrong, but I like it. I'm going to play around with some t-shirt ideas. I think it's called Print Tee or whatever like that. I can integrate it in my website. I think that would be fun. Even if we just put shirts together to see what it might be fun to even integrate some art on them. I don't know. I love that. Oh, the title of the piece. I'm calling this The Dreamer. That's what it is right now. It could evolve, but I'm calling it The Dreamer right now. So I'm going to go in. This wand is shot. I'm going to, my wands, I go through them more than average because when you're live, I'm not as connected to the wands because I'm doing multiple things. So I might be a little bit rougher on them. So I am going to show you why I pulled this color. I think this would be a really beautiful addition here if I can get it to show up on my layers for a couple spots here in the green trees because it's so bright there. And I can even bring up this whole edge. And I think this is a great time of why I would want to use the bright yellow green core. Okay. Pastel Insider is such an amazing value. I love all the guidance and information and inspiration. Thank you, Pam. I'm really, really excited about being able to offer that to you guys. I'm working full-time. I just want you to know, I've never worked this much of a full-time job with my art, but if I had to choose to work full-time, this makes me feel the best I've ever felt when doing it. So it's definitely to get everything in there on Fridays for you guys. I am working a full week, which it feels good. It feels good to have it working with YouTube and my classes and all of that, and that I can offer that up, and it fills my well, and it fills your well. So, I mean, I'm hoping it fills your well, but you know what I mean. So you can see how I could use that really bright green there in the trees, and I'm actually just really loving that whole abstract-y vibe. And I could have just said, no, I'm just using pencils, but I'm actually loving playing with the pan pastel and being really light and gentle with it, and making these little marks and shapes and things like that. Pam's heading out for dinner. Well, thank you, Pam. You have a great evening. My only hesitation with pastel is it seems so fussy, expensive to frame, whereas acrylic you just pop on a wall. I love it, but I'm unsure. Well, it's totally true, Laura. You do have to frame. I frame all my color pieces. My black pan pastel, I don't frame. I mount those, but it is the trade-off. But you know what? To be quite honest, I'm not framing that many pieces for myself. I sell them flat and send with framing instructions, and most of my pieces get framed, and it hasn't been an issue, and I've been selling them for over 7 years. And so it's not fussy once you get to know how it all works. Like, I have videos out there that show how to care for the painting, and inside the Pastel Insider, especially with Cosmic Creations, I even do an easy DIY framing tip, and I also have a formal framing on my YouTube channel. But you know, it is different. I would say that's the one negative, is you do have to frame. But if you're a watercolor artist or you're doing charcoal and you want to frame, framing is part of it. But it's not enough to make me not want to do it. But I've probably only framed, I frame my minis, my 5x10s that I put in the that I sell. I frame my little squares that I do. I have my little squares, so I frame these. And once you learn how to do it, it's quite easy. So I have this one I frame, you know, I do the whole framing process. And but I'm a person that likes to figure things out and likes to figure the systems out and do it myself. So that's my personality. Okay. Oh, was Karen taken off? Did I miss that? I think I already said goodbye. Oh yeah, I said goodbye to Karen. And Pam, do you ever cover your pan pastels between creative sessions? This is a question from Cassie. I used to be more fussy about it, but if you can see behind me, I just have them all on leaning up against the wall. Let's see if I do this. I don't think I have that one set up, so I don't. So I have them all set up against the wall back here, and they're just leaning up against each other in layers on the boards. So I have the boards all just back here on the wall, and I put a protector down on the carpet, and then that sheds down onto that, and then I don't put anything over them until I'm ready to take them off and sell them. And once they're ready to be sold, they're already photographed, and then I protect them in between two pieces of glassine, and then I put them in between two pieces of double-walled cardboard, and then I mail them in another protective layer. So I'll keep them on the boards until they're signed and photographed for the shop. Or sometimes they float around on my surfaces. Like I have one that I just photographed from last week, the Oracle. That one's ready to go in my Etsy shop, so I have that photographed. And but you know, they're not as fragile as you guys would think. Like years of working with the PanPastel, I've even tried to hose one off, and I had to scrub it with a scrubbing brush to get it all off. It's not as fragile as you would think. Okay, I'm trying to think. I think I want to just go into the tree here and fade that black out. Thank you, Paula. I'm glad you like the trees. Thank you, Louise. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Sarah, it looks like you're creating a bokeh. Yep, that's what I'm actually inspired by. So bokeh soft focus effect. Louise says I have to go get my tires fitted in my car. Grab your journal. She'll sketch while she waits. All right, you take care, Louise. Sorry I got behind on that. What does it say? Chrisella says, that one's mine. I don't know what you mean on that. Which one's yours? Oh, that's funny. Okay, I think I got them all answered, the questions. Cassie says, oh, I mean your actual pans. Oh, my pans, I have them covered. This is a great question. I use these plastic covers, and I cover them when the session's over. But I've also left them uncovered in the studio, but they're in front of a window, so if a big breeze comes in, then I like to keep them covered. So I'll cover those, but I'll leave this one up on my easel the whole time. I don't cover that. Now that I have reliable internet provider, I can begin playing in the pastel and cider section. Well, awesome, Marty. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here today. If you don't sell the original, I hope you do a reproduction. Well, thank you, Chrisella. Oh, you mean Thrive. I know. I got to figure out if I'm going to sell it or not. Chrisella, you got first dibs if I sell that one. You have been asking about that for a long time. Okay, so I'm almost about ready where I'm going to have to slow down, and what we're going to be working on is we got to bring up the fox. We're going to be starting to merge all of these together. It's like I've given you kind of an example right here of how I've gotten those all blended, and I've created, you know, taken those black lines, and I've, you know, closed the gap per se of having it look stained glass. So if you can see how this looks all stained glass, I'm going to work on bringing that out of that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really curious on this one, how I'm going to feel about it when I sleep on it for a night, because I don't think I'm going to make a lot of changes that I can see, because I'm really happy with everything. So that's really exciting. Chrisella. Thank you so much. Yeah, you know, if you guys want reproductions of anything, I can custom order those things. I can make them to order. That goes with, like, I know I did quite a few of the what was it? The Mystic Council, you know, things like that. If you are interested in a wood-mounted reproduction, just reach out to me through the contact form, or email me at art@dawnvanderstoep.com. The 12 by 16s are $150 and include shipping to US. So most of them, I have quite a few in the Etsy store too right now. I have like 5 or 6 of them in there. So I'm trying to close this. I think I'm going to close this gap of this one being dark. I'm using that raw umber because I'm out of this spot, and I might bring this section up, but I think I might like the depth of it. So if anything, I think I would take some of the white on the edge here and just hit some of that edge like it's almost like a cloud. I'll play with that a little bit more and we'll see how that goes. I'm also thinking I want to make this a little thinner. I'm using the white. But it's really interesting how you can take the layers when you don't go too bright too soon and really have fun building them up. I'm going to soften it a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I'm so glad you have good internet too. Well, thank you, Michelle. Thanks for cheering everyone on. And I'm just really excited about this one. I'm having a great time. You can see that it's really worth taking the time with the light and really bringing that up. So I'm just going slow because I don't know if there's some things that I wanted, like I thought I wanted to keep that darkness there, but I think I'm going to tone it down. Some of that diversity is good. But you can see I've spent some time on this light here because I believe it's the most important part. And a lot about light with the PanPastel, if I bring something up to a certain level, then I can layer it up and bring up the values in the light. Well, we have a lot of work to do. I'm going to answer if you have any other questions right now, a great time to ask. I'm going to wrap it up for today. And we are going to be having some fun on Thursday because I will have all this to bring in. Thank you, Paula. I really appreciate it. I have a good group of you guys here today. I'm just seeing if I missed anything else. But I really appreciate everyone. So The Dreamer is the title. Okay. So if there's not any more questions, I'm going to wrap it up. Oh, well, Chrisella, not a bribe. Oh, I always love finishing it out with a super chat. That is so sweet, Chrisella. You crack me up. Oh my gosh. It's not a bribe. Oh my goodness. Thank you for your support, Chrisella. I really appreciate you. It's not a bribe. So funny. Oh man, that's awesome. Can't wait to see how this one finishes up. Me too. Me too. Thank you, everyone. I wish you an amazing day. This has been a wonderful live today. I'm excited to see how it evolves. We have so much left to do. I haven't really focused on the fox yet. We're going to bring this fox face out, make it brighter than everything else, and then bring it down, really show you how I create light by almost just doing it naturally by saving this light area for the end and bringing it up. So you guys all take care. Thank you, Ari, Kez, Laura, Chrisella, Lynn, Cassie, Katie, Janelle, Michelle, Paula, Michelle, Chrisella. Man, we got a good group here today. JC Creates, Audrey. So glad you guys are enjoying the lives. And I will see you on Thursday. All right, take care, you guys. Thanks again, Chrisella. Bye-bye.